Is the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting, Monday, August 9th, 2021. We're meeting in the Carson City Community Center, Robert Bob Crowell Boardroom. Could we do the roll call?
Bobby Rader.
Here.
Steve Kim.
Here.
Steve Reynolds. Here. Stacy Giomi.
Here.
Mike Jones is absent. We have a quorum.
Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any public comment at this time?
There are no callers on the line at this time.
Thank you. On the agenda then, we're on number 5, approval of the minutes. Does any board member have a question or correction to the minutes from the last meeting? Could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion. Steve Kim.
Could I get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Stacy.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does any board member have a question about the consent agenda or want any item pulled from the consent agenda? Not hearing any. Could I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as it is?
Motion to accept the consent agenda as stands.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 9 on the agenda is for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding a proposed interlocal agreement between Carson City and Carson City District Attorney's Office and the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority. Dave, did you want to describe it?
Thank you, Chair Rader. For the record, Dave Peterson, Executive Director with the CTA. So this agreement is similar in nature to the past agreements that we've had between the CTA and the City of Carson City. Difference being this is for initially a 5-year term rather than a 1 or a 2-year term, with the possibility of extending it for an additional 5 fiscal years. So this agreement provides, from the city side for us, legal services, our financial services. They're handling our accounting, purchasing assistance, guidance, HR, our information technology services, as well as anything we need on the community development side. And then it also includes from Parks, Rec, Open Space, and Jen Budge, the director, is here if there are any questions. How we work with Parks, Rec, Open Space as it relates to endorsed events that we endorse on the city's facilities under Parks as well, to cover those costs to bring those events into Carson City. So that's just kind of a high-level overview of the agreement itself, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or if there's anything for Todd on the legal side or Jen on the park side, I'm happy to address any questions that the board may have.
Does any board member have a question about this agreement? If not, could I get a motion to approve?
This is Stacy. I move to approve as presented.
I move to approve.
Could you repeat that?
I'm sorry.
Stacy, will you repeat that? I think you were making a motion.
Yeah, I move to approve as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item 10 on the agenda, monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only, presented by David Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. So 10A is my Executive Director update. I just have a couple of items on my update for this month's meeting. I mentioned last month that we were underway with the creative brand execution work, and I'm happy to say that the baseline research is underway. On August 4th, we deployed a questionnaire to nearly 6,000 contacts in our inquiry database. Approximately 41.6%, or 2,351 of those folks, opened that email, which is a great open rate, and we've had 354, or 5.8%, click-throughs to the survey itself. And so far, we have 238 completes on a 20-question survey. So I'm very pleased with the results so far. We're going to take a look Wednesday, which will be a week to the day, as to where our sample size is sitting, and segment that between local and then non-local, sort of our out-of-state folks on that database, to see if we have enough sample size. Statistically, we'd like to have a little over 100 in each of those two buckets for us to close that questionnaire down. If not, we're going to send a second push out to those who opened the survey link itself but didn't complete the survey. So as a reminder, thank you, Jen. Those questions on that survey are trying to help us understand how travelers perceive Carson City as a vacation destination, considering of Carson City as a place for a future vacation, and then top-line travel characteristics. We're looking at travel size, household decision-maker status. So I'm excited with where we're at, with what the results have come in at. We'll have an online results dashboard as well set up, which I will make sure I get shared out with the full board as well, so you all can take a look at those results kind of in, I say, real-time fashion. So that's an update on everything that's going on with creative brand execution and this initial piece of baseline research. The second item is the team, and I give Lydia a great credit here for putting 5 of the 6 grants together that we submitted to the Commission on Tourism back on the 16th of July. We have a grant for the ad copy testing, the research, streaming television, a virtual kit Carson Trail Tour Experience and Expedia Co-op in conjunction again with Travel Nevada, and that's been a very successful grant that's actually driving room night booking, future room night bookings, and one for digital strategy, as well as the one for the Bandwango implementation. So in total, our grant request totaled $43,603. We'll know come 8/31 how we fared against the other tourism entities throughout Nevada. I do know that there was a smaller pool of money available just due to COVID and the way that the Travel Nevada budget was set up for fiscal '22. So I know it's a competitive process under normal circumstances, and when you have a reduction in that funding, it's even more competitive. So I do not envy the staff over there to make decisions about which grants they want to fund. But anyway, with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions that the board might have about either of those items. Seeing none, okay, I'll go ahead and move on to 10B, the transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast report. So in your packet, that's the big sheet. You will see that we have our actual numbers for fiscal '21 now through June. We came in at $20,363,950.28. That's an 18.38% increase over fiscal '20's actual, and it's just under 26% higher than what we originally forecasted back in May of 2020 for fiscal '21. And I spent some time last week, and I thought it was important to call out some of the recent monthly net taxable revenue calculations. So our June number that you see on there, the 2.932 million, that's an all-time record for Carson City for any month. So we also hit a record for the month of May, April, and February as well. So those were monthly records in that case for the months of February, April, and May. And while I think this is fantastic news, I expect this to continue for July based on my conversations with the properties. I think August as well. I am concerned as we look to next summer. Obviously, I think this is a bit of a bubble, that we're in right now, and the pent-up demand for travel. And so I'm struggling right now with how do we project next summer, because certainly I think we need to take a look at what fiscal '19 looked like and maybe build our percentages accordingly, because to assume that we're going to set records on top of records next summer, I don't know that that's reasonable, just given the circumstances out there right now with travel and everything coming back. And that's been the conversation I've had with a lot of our lodging properties as well. But I thought I would share the good news, at least to close out fiscal '21 with the board and those record months that we had, again, February, April, May, and June. So if there are any questions about our forecast versus, or actual versus forecast report, I'm happy to answer those. Yes.
David, how did these numbers compare to 2 years ago
Excellent.
in general?
Yeah, excellent question. So thank you, Member Reynolds. So fiscal '19's number was 20.9 million, and that's at the top of the sheet in the upper right-hand corner. So fiscal '19 was 20.9, and then we dropped to 17.2 million for fiscal '20, and we've come back up to 20.4 if you round it million for fiscal '21. And I can take it a couple steps back. And you were right, Chris, I should have made these numbers bigger. Fiscal '18's total was 20.91, 3 million. That's actually the best fiscal year net taxable revenue that we've had, followed by fiscal '19, which again was 20.9 rounded, and then fiscal '21 was actually the third best fiscal year's taxable revenue we've had. And then before that, fiscal '17 was 18.9 million, fiscal '16 was 16.4 million. Just to give a little bit of a historical retrospective of the fiscal taxable lodging revenues. Does that help, Steve? Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions from the board on that? Okay. With that, I'd like to go ahead and move on to 10C, the events and sales update. So at this time, James is going to provide us with this month's update. Take it away, James.
Thank you. I wanted to start this meeting by going through some of the numbers that we received from the lacrosse tournament and the surveys that we conducted online. This is something that we had planned to report on at our last meeting. So the first question that we had asked people to fill out in the survey was to type in their city and their zip code, and we pulled the data from that to be able to calculate where people were coming from. And out of the, I think, 89 total surveys questioned here, 64 came from California, and 5 from Colorado, 14 came from Nevada, and 6 from Washington. The second question that we asked was, conversely speaking, do you identify as a Carson City local? This question, we phrased it this way because previous questions, when we would ask people if they identified as a local, even though they were coming from Reno Sparks area, they still considered themselves a local. So we wanted to kind of pull an idea of if, even though they're coming from a regional area, if they consider themselves a local. And we got 8.79%, 8.8% basically that came back and said that they do identify as a Carson City local. How many people were in your immediate travel party? The most that we got here, which was a little over 30%, was 2, followed by 25% for 3, and 26% for 4. Very small numbers for the person riding solo, which is at 3.3%. So we with this, we know that people were coming with a group with either their spouse and watch their kid, or an entire family was coming. Question 4, in this most recent trip to Carson City, how many nights did you spend in the destination? So pretty self-explanatory. We were wanting to figure out, how many people were actually coming and staying here in Carson. Mind you, this tournament was so big that we could not house them all here in Carson. And so the people that filled this survey, we got 56% was they stayed at least 2 nights, followed by almost 10%, 3 nights, and 4 nights for 4.4%. If staying overnight, we wanted to know, the breakdown if they were staying at like families' houses or Airbnbs or hotel or camping. So this kind of gave us the percentages, and 78% stayed at lodging properties. This question we phrased because we wanted to know if they've been here before, so that we can craft our message in the future to see what we can do to get them to come back for future tournaments. So we want to know how many times they have visited Carson City in the past 2 years, and the majority of them, 78%, this was their first visit in the past 2 years. If you had made a prior visit to Carson City in the past 2 years, what was the primary purpose for that prior visit? This one is we were trying to figure out if they were coming for the lacrosse tournament per se, or other visits. And a lot of times they were just coming because this was their first time in Carson City. And 17% represent people that considered themselves locals. Yes.
Yeah,
David?
James, I just wanted, Dave Peterson for the record, that this is actually a good thing, that the tournament itself was bringing these folks in. So this is a new type of a visitor to Carson City. So when you look at the 78% before and then the breakdown of those folks, I think this is wonderful, right? We've exposed Carson City to a new type of a visitor by way of, in this case, a tournament, a lacrosse tournament. So I thought that these were very pleasantly surprising numbers, from that perspective. So it was good to see that we were bringing new people in as a result of the lacrosse tournament. So.
Yep. And so we got some pretty good data here to work on, and working with these guys again for a future event will help us frame some of our messaging to figure out if there are some tweaks or things that we can do to help them get more people to participate in tournaments in the future. So the next big event or tournament that will have some data like this on will be the Outlaw Flat Track Race, which is coming up in September. We're hoping to kind of provide the same type of deal in terms of the surveys being conducted. And this one's a little different because the riders are the participants, not necessarily the spectators that are in the crowd. From previous data that we have collected, the majority of the spectators that pay ticket to attend this event at Fuji Park are locals or regional people. But it's the spectators, it's the riders that are majority of them are the ones coming from out of town with their families. Just to recap on a couple of things that happened this year, we had a couple of tournaments in the past couple of weeks that have had to cancel due to air quality concerns. And that one of them is the All World Sports Girls World Series. And then the other one is a senior invitational. So that was kind of unfortunate, but understandable considering the air quality that we had to deal with for the past couple of weeks. Just an update on upcoming events. We have the Outlaw Flat Track Race that we just talked about in August, the Brewfest, the Gorge Festival, and Statina's Pay Dirt, which is the gravel grinder race that we've been working on. I feel like forever, but it's been at least 2 years. And then IPW is the International Powwow Prefams that's taking place in Carson in partnership with our friends from the RSCVA. In addition to is it Gardnerville, and also Tahoe, right?
Tahoe,
They're all
Virginia
taking place
City.
in this. So our goal is we only have like an hour and a half to entertain some of these tour operators. Some of them are coming from California, and one from Nevada, from Las Vegas. And so we have like an hour and a half to entertain these folks, and the plan is to take them on the rail bikes and then have a city tour through Mary Bennett, who's the person that typically does the ghost tours in Carson City. So we've already confirmed both of those. David, on his end, worked with the VNT to secure 3 rail bikes for us for that day, in addition to myself working with Mary Bennett to make sure that she was available to do the city tour for us. So that's kind of already pre-planned and ready to go. Just an update that these are conferences that are coming up. IPW is September 18th and through the 22nd in Las Vegas. It's the biggest powwow or tour operator meeting with international clients. And so I'll touch on that in the next slide. But travel or NTA Travel Exchange is coming up in November, and that one's taking place in Cleveland. In addition to ABA Marketplace in January, this will be our first time going to ABA Marketplace in January. So we're looking forward to building some partnerships and building some rapport with some tour operators there. And then the Go West Summit is taking place in Reno next February, and we're already in the works planning some pre-FAMs and post-FAMs with the RSCVA, since they're the ones hosting them next year. Touching up on the IPW conference, this one is important to us because it's the first time that we'll be able to get a reach outside of the NTA, which focuses on like mostly the domestic markets and tour operators throughout the West. We decided when we were planning on who to target and who to market to try and attract for our meetings and our appointments, we kind of surveyed some information from our RSCVA partners, and it was kind of in alignment with what we were targeting already, because we were looking for regions and destinations that would be a direct flight or a one-stop to the Reno Tahoe International Airport. And we pulled some things from the International Airport website and talked with them and found that New Mexico and Canada is like a hotspot for what they're targeting, which is kind of in alignment with what we've been trying to target historically for our contacts for some of these appointments. So we made it a priority of ours to target those international destinations, and then the overflow, the secondary markets, would be some of these direct flights that go to like Atlanta or New York or Chicago, just because when we talk to a tour operator and we're able to provide itineraries to them and kind of give them an idea of the things that they can do in this region, um, it's icing on the cake to know that it's just, it's one flight instead of multiple flights that they have to take on to get to this destination. So that's kind of our framework and our mindset when we put this plan together. The last slide I have is just, what we already know, the CDC guidelines, something that we've always tried to stay on top of ever since the governor started implementing the first ones. And that's just, right now we're dealing with a mask mandate, and we'll continue to monitor this and see what happens in the near future. And we plan on educating events organizers on all these guidelines as they change. So that's everything I have. Any questions?
James, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Bobby Rader. Have you gotten into any idea from the governor's office if he's going to limit the number of people attending events because of the new COVID requirements?
So based off of the previous document, one of the things they talk about in there is the fact that no changes will change at least for 2 consecutive weeks.
Right.
So if numbers decrease, now they'll wait for at least 2 consecutive weeks before they make any changes. But I really don't have an answer for you about the main, like if changes are going to happen immediately because cases, continue to rise. I don't have that data.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James, for that update. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move on to 10D, Arts and Culture Update with Deborah Soul. So Deborah's gonna talk through this one and for this month's meeting, but I got to tell you, she's been kicking butt, taking names the last few weeks. So I'm gonna turn it over to Deborah to kind of give the board an update on where she's at with a couple of different big projects. Okay, so take it away, Deborah.
Okay, well, the primary project that's underway is the process of acquiring consultation from the community to start the update process for the Arts and Cultural Master Plan. So we've inserted information on this process onto the Arts and Culture page on the Visit Carson City website, where we've also made the 2016 plan available, and where we've also provided input forms for anyone who's interested in contributing their input. And I've been meeting with Carson City area cultural groups and community organizations through in-person meetings, through Zoom meetings, and through email communication. And basically, I've been trying to explain the process that we're utilizing to update the plan and trying to encourage people to participate. The response deadline is the 20th of August, and I've already started receiving input back from them, so I've commenced tabulating some of the results. The next step, David will be organizing a meeting with the lodging properties to get their input, and then I'll be bringing back this input and my recommendations to a joint meeting of the of this commission and the Arts and Culture Commission in October, I believe. In addition to that focus, I've also been trying to help coordinate the RAC grant process. We've not yet received any applications. That's not really surprising because they tend to come in pretty close to deadline dates. And I've also been reviewing and assessing other grant opportunities and trying to determine what resources are available to possibly undertake some cultural mapping. And that's been pretty much the focus the first month.
So you have not had a lot going on is what the board is suggesting. Holy smokes. Any questions for Deborah? Great. Yeah, more to come with each month. We're going to keep everybody informed, but everything does start with that Arts and Culture Master Plan, and that will be our roadmap, by which I hope we'll all operate to bring forward a wonderfully vibrant and thriving arts, culture, historic, and heritage-related program for Carson City. So thank you, Deborah. All right, let's go ahead and move on to 10E. I got ahead of myself, marketing and PR update. So Lydia is going to walk us through the marketing and public relations update. Take it away, Lydia.
All right, thank you. For the record, Lydia Beck. Today's really all about content. I know you guys don't also always get to see some of the content that we put out there. So I'm going to walk through our top pages on our website, our PR report. We're going to go through our influencer fam tour that we brought to town and show you some of the content that came out of that. And then Zach's been working on some great videos for us too that I'll update you on. So to go through our top website content, you'll see that it's pretty similar to our last month's meeting, but we start off with things to do. We had some social ads that were directing to that page that performed really well, which pushed that over our homepage. And then rail bikes are up there again. The 4th of July celebration is to be expected because this is for July's numbers. Our hotels page is sitting at number 5. And then we have the Kit Carson Trail, our events page, the Kings Canyons waterfall, and then our attractions page as well. So it's nice to see that people are utilizing that roll-up page for our attractions that we put together. So overall, we had about 74,000 page views in the month of July. Our PR report, we actually have a new format for you guys, which I was really excited to see. KPS3 is starting to break out some more numbers for us. So this looks very lengthy, but I'll try to summarize here. Every month, KPS3 pushes out one story on our behalf to basically throughout the wire to garner more publicity around Carson City that we can control. So they pushed out a story about with restrictions lifted, events returned to Carson City, and that was picked up by 191 outlets nationally, elevating this month's earned media value to $78.8 thousand. Now, we also had some coverage around the new mural, but the most significant news that we received this month was the national and international coverage of the federal government's likely investigation into Stewart Indian School. So after the remains of hundreds of former students were found at a similar Canadian boarding school, the Interior Secretary announced that she'll be launching an inquiry to the federal government's boarding school program for Native children. So that includes Stewart. That was picked up nationally, which is why you're going to see over 166 million unique visitors per month we had that mentioned Carson City, and we reached almost 320,000 people. So that's a really significant jump into what we normally see, which you guys have seen in the past. So I would love to say that this could be a likely a likely monthly encounter. It's very unlikely that we'll see numbers like this again unless something similar comes up, and it's unfortunate that that's the case in the story that happened. But we'll continue to monitor and hopefully be able to get Stewart's side of the story out too. And on the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the brand poll breakdown, which is brand new. So we'll be able to pull out topics picked up each month. So you'll see the brand breakdown for this month was 47% historical, and then the rest was divided between outdoor, arts and culture, and family-friendly mentions in the media. So I'm excited to be able that we'll be able to report that to you monthly from here on out. The next slide is hopefully in your packets, you'll be able to read that, and I can send you the digital versions of this, of course, but this is the breakdown of all of the top mentions, which were driving some of those numbers that you see. And we'll move on to our influencer fam tour. So we had a really successful tour in July 19th through the 22nd. We had 7 people total, plus myself, and help from Dave and Zach, who helped with the driving and also all of the content. So thank you to our bus driver, Dave, who did an amazing job. We had a really great mix of 3 people from the Tahoe Truckee area, so we could garner more local awareness to Carson City, which after meeting them was very needed. And then also we had one from Dallas and one from the Bay Area. And their followers ranged from all over, so you can kind of keep that in mind, but that's just where their home bases were. So you can see here we had Blue Bus Adventures, we had Shelby Burns, Kelly Root, Lena, and Olivia as well, who was the one who's from Texas who flew in. They have a wide variety of followers, and we'll go into some of the content that they captured and posted for us, but we required their deliverables to be 3 Instagram posts plus 8 Instagram slides or their stories per day. And then also they allowed us the content that they captured for us to use on our social pages as well. And a big thanks to Parks and Rec for the use of their shuttle. It was really, really helpful for us on Wednesday, as they've helped us out the last couple times that we've done that, and it's been incredibly helpful. So we can do more with them in Carson City than paying for transportation. So a huge thank you. And then also to Chris and Bobby for helping us with the introductions over at Stewart as well. So here is what we did. On Monday, mind you, this was the weekend that the smoke rolled in for the first time. And so we were very nervous about what was going to happen with the smoke, but we had people flying in and the train was a-rolling and there was really no turning back by the time that it came. So we got so lucky that honestly, everything that we did, the smoke blew out for, except for the rail bikes on Monday night. So that was the only thing that got canceled, but Freedom Rail was gracious enough to allow tickets for them to come back whenever they can. And we were actually able to get Lena on the rail bikes on Friday because she extended her trip here until Saturday. So on Monday, we had dinner at the Union and some after dinner drinks at Carson Cigar Bar because there's very few after dinner drinks available in Carson City on a Monday night. So we ended up there, and then on Tuesday, we hiked to the Kings Canyon waterfall. This was before they actually started the construction on the trailhead, so we were able to get them there and get some content that we can use for when they open back up on a regular basis. And a huge thanks to Debbie at the firm because she allowed me to redo our whole Tuesday because we were supposed to do a really long hike. And she got everyone in at the firm Cryo Spa to do their detox lounge, which was perfect, tie in with the smoke. So a huge thanks to her for that. They had a great time and was a perfect afternoon. We hit Villa Bass Cafe, we went to the Bank Saloon, dinner at Piazza, and we did a private ghost walk with Mary Bennett, which everyone really, really enjoyed. On Wednesday, we hit breakfast at Kama Coffee. We went to Stewart Indian School to let them explore, to add in some cultural elements to the trip. And then we wanted to showcase our proximity, our hub concept that we've been pushing for so long. So we wanted to show them, how close we were to other things. So we went to Genoa to let them explore the town for a couple hours before we drove up to Skunk Harbor, where we hiked down for a private picnic on the beach, which was very Instagram worthy and was well worth it because the views that we got from their post were in the thousands and thousands. So that was great to see. And then on Thursday, before we headed out, we completed the Carson City Triathlon, where we hit the hot springs in Sassafras and Sutri. And then they actually wanted to, some of them extend their trip, and they went shopping downtown at Dewey Estrella, and some hit the Capitol as well. And they stayed at the Staybridge Suites, I'd like to mention, so thank you to them for partnering with us for some discounted rates so we could get everyone there and showcase our newest hotel in Carson City. So this slide has a lot of numbers on it, I know, but I want to give you an idea of what the kind of engagement looks like. So this was from Blue Blessed Adventures. They put together an amazing recap for us of all of the metrics that came from their trip. The biggest box on top is the summary. So just from them alone, they had over 42,000 impressions, over 500 clicks taken from their stories, and then they had 251 sticker taps, meaning that if they mentioned, say, the firm Cryo Spa or visit Carson City, someone actually clicked on our handle to go to our page and learn more about it. So it's a great way that we're sending people to our partners' pages and the ways that we can actually track it. And so we had 65 total sticker taps alone. So these individual boxes below, I'll let you read through yourself, but those are from each day that they were here, and you'll be able to see the sticker taps for all of the individual partners below too. For the Staybridge, for example, had 12 sticker taps from theirs. And everyone did post about their stay, which was something that we asked and required. So they did some awesome room tours and really helped highlight our hotels. So a big thanks to Zach. He put together this kind of recap video to showcase some things that we did. And I'll just let you see that for yourself. And then we'll have a version of our own that focuses just on the Carson City activities that we'll be posting on our social. that's just a little highlight reel of what we did. And of course, in Tahoe, we kept them within Carson City limits. That was something that we wanted to make sure we did, but tagged responsibly, not directing everyone exactly where they are, but to kind of explore for themselves. So we took some different approaches in that sense, but overall just showcasing that, you're in Carson City. Here's some other content from the posts that they did. We had people create video reels, some just did photos, and Lena was able to get in the rail bike, so she did a whole full story about that. Some did the room tours like I talked about, just in the upper right-hand corner. And then we're garnering a lot of comments like, I need to explore Carson City next time we go up to the area. Thanks for sharing, Lena, and multiple others that came from that. So this next slide is some of the captions that they created for when they did their reel post. So Lena was amazing with just her direction and her push on travel. So she said, save this post for your future planning. This is your sign to visit Carson City. She talks about why Carson City and the 5 top things to do. So I did want to show you their quick reels so you get an idea of what these kind of things look like and the thousands of views that they get, if it lets me. So this was Lena's. So short and sweet, but pretty effective. You can see there's 3,500 views that she got on that, 400 likes, 26 people commented on it. And then Blue Bus Adventure did one too. I'll restart. Just some fun content that's different than what we push out and reaches new audiences. And then they also have questions that they added to their stories too of ask me any questions about Carson City that you want to know. And so Lena had some people ask what hotel recommendations in Carson City, is there any Asian food there? And she talked about TJ's Corner Cafe and the Basil. People ask what to do, how far is it from Lake Tahoe, food recommendations. And the one I loved was, hi, Lena, I love your feed. Is there any kids' activities in Carson City? I have a 7-year-old son. So she talked about scoops and the splash pad and the museums that you can visit. So these things really live on their feeds for 24 hours, so we don't always get to see them. So I just wanted to show you some of the engagement that goes on there. What's nice is they compiled all of those into a highlight, which lives on their Instagram page that says Carson City so that people can go back and reference this later. So that's one of the other things that we require when they come. So that's for the influencer fam tour. Does anyone have any questions on that I can answer before I move into our new Navigate Like a Nevadan page?
This is Bobby. I do have a question. I'd like to know when the board is going to get the spa day and the luxury picnic. Come on.
We definitely went out for this one. To be honest, this was kind of 2 years in the making because we had to postpone this from 2020. And so we definitely wanted to make it big and worthwhile, but I hope soon. I'll chat with Debbie and see what we can do about me. All right, so I'm hoping that it looks like it might be freezing on me, so bear with me. We have a new Navigate Like a Nevadan video that is amazing that Zach put together, and looks like I might have to play this on our YouTube page, so bear with me.
Well, Lydia's bringing that video up. It was something else. That was a whole week. And Lydia has been working on that for quite some time. My God, it was a very packed week. I will just say that. And what amazed me is, to a person, nobody had ever really actually visited Carson City. So folks as close as Donner Summit, as far away as Austin, Texas. But once they realized what we had here, they just were raving. Like, they wouldn't shut up in the bus, and I couldn't turn the radio up any louder. They loved the food. Like, that was like the number one. They were blown away by the food, and of course the beer and the craft cocktails. Our arts, again, came up, the museum product, the trails. These are people that are outdoor enthusiasts that didn't even know about our single track trails, either side, right, of Carson City. So I think the objective was met, to engage folks that they themselves had not been here, and then they can tell a fresh look, right, at Carson City to all of their followers and folks on the social media platform. So it was well done on everybody's part. So it was cool to be a part of it, and to be the pesky researcher asking them questions about what was their favorite thing so far. I heard lamb pops come up from Piazza, and I said, "Oh my God, do you have one in your pocket? Because I love those too." So anyway, I will let Lydia take back over. But it was a wonderful fam. For
Thank
sure.
you, Dave.
So,
Yeah, that was, it definitely was I never come down here except to go to Trader Joe's or Costco. And so I think we have it just solidified that we have a lot of awareness to do even in our own area. So, all right, hopefully I think this should work. So again, props to Zach for this. He really did an amazing job putting this together. And a big thank you to Dan Neverett, who's a docent at the Nevada State Museum, who helped us with this project too. He was wonderful. Hi, I'm Lydia with Visit Carson City, and today we're going to take you along the Kit Carson Trail, one of our most popular attractions here in the capital. It's a walking tour through our historic West Side neighborhood filled with attractions, landmarks, and historic homes that bring Carson City's history to life. We're here at the Nevada State Museum, and we're going to meet with Dan Neverett. He's a docent here, and he's going to give us a guided tour telling us the best history and stories of some of our most favorite landmarks and homes along the way.
Thanks, Lydia. We're going to stop by the Carson City Visitor Center and pick up a Kit Carson Trail map. The Kit Carson Trail is a group of 48 homes and residences. And the Curry House, the house we're approaching right now, is one of the primary ones that we talk about. It is constructed by Abe Curry, the father of Carson City, and it's constructed of sandstone. Now, Mr. Curry, when he arrived here in 1858, opened a quarry about 3 miles from town, a sandstone quarry. And from that quarry, these blocks were mined. Mr. Curry, in fact, used prisoners at the Nevada State Prison to mine the quarry, and these blocks were cut by the prisoners from that quarry.
Oh, wow.
One of the significant homes on the Kit Carson Trail is the Orion Clemens house. Mr. Clemens came here as the secretary for the territory of Nevada, and he brought with him his brother, Samuel Clemens. Samuel Clemens ended up being Mark Twain, and probably this home is where Mark Twain was born. Another interesting house on the tour is the Yarrington house. Mr. Yarrington was the commissioner of railroads, and he wanted to feel comfortable in his home. And so he had the windows in the sun porch shaped like the windows in parlor cars in trains back then.
Oh, okay.
This home has an interesting background. It's the Cavell House, and when it was built in the early 1900s, it had the state-of-the-art technology. It had lower ceilings to keep the heat in the house.
Okay.
It had indoor plumbing,
Wow.
indoor electrical service, and indoor gas service, which made it state-of-the-art for the time. This home is the Prague home. Mr. Prague was the gentleman who initiated the sending of Christmas cards to his friends, family, and he lived here for a period of time in Carson City. The Bliss Mansion, when it was built in the late 1800s, was the largest and most innovative technology advanced home in Nevada at its time. It was built by Duane Bliss, one of the lumber barons of the time, and his company provided most of the wood, timber, and lumber for the construction of Virginia City, as well as for the mines in the Comstock Lode. The Governor's Mansion was built in 1908. many years after it was proposed, but most people in the legislature felt that it was too imperial to provide a mansion for the governor of the territory or the state of Nevada. So it was delayed until Governor Dickerson became the first resident of the mansion. And he lived in here for a very short period of time because he ran for re-election and did not get elected. Those are just a few of the stops along the Kit Carson Trail. We hope that you'll soon be able to join us and continue your journey through Carson City's historic West Side.
So we thought we definitely needed a visual element. I mean, we redid every other part of the trail, but never really had a video explaining what it is, because some people still think it's an actual hike. We get that a lot. As some people are like, let's hike the Kit Carson Trail. So we try to educate as much as we can that it's more of a leisurely stroll on sidewalks. So we definitely wanted some more education and kind of introducing what that new look of it looks like as well. And then we have a mural highlight as well, as we have some new murals. So we'll have a landing page coming for you for both of these new murals that we have on the outside of our building and inside. And Zach put together just really short artist highlights that we'll include on all of those pages to really get them incorporated into these projects and so that we can highlight our local artists.
This mural was designed to communicate all the adventure, the history, the legends that a visitor could find in today's Carson City. I'm Nevada artist Ann O'Lear.
So short and sweet, but we hope to have those landing pages. The outside mural is almost finished, so we'll definitely have that for you soon. And then we'll be working on this one too, highlighting and showcasing every element of the inside mural and the history that it relates to Carson City. So thank you for my very long show and tell today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you for your time.
Any questions for Lydia? Go ahead.
Just one comment. I just really appreciate the authenticity and everything. Even like when you're walking on the trail, you can tell the guy believes in it. You know, it's really cool to see everyone really psyched and wanting to be here. And I just think it's all great work. So hopefully it attracts more people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dan is wonderful and just loves the history part of it. So he's been a great partner and it just shows. Thanks. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
Thank you,
Lydia.
guys.
Great. Let's go ahead and move on to 10F, future agenda items. At this time, any requests from board members for future agenda items can be made. Does any member of the board want to have anything come up at the September meeting? Okay. Seeing none, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to 10G, upcoming meetings. Just a friendly reminder, the next tentatively, that's okay, no, it's okay. You're excited, you want to play it again. The next tentatively scheduled meeting is for September 13th, which is a Monday at 4 p.m. With that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you to the team. You guys are doing amazing work, so great reports. At this time, we'll go on to item 11 on the agenda. Are there any board comments or announcements or requests for information? I'll just add that the Remembrance Run will take place this Saturday at Stewart Indian School starting at 6 a.m. Koo Stevens, the track runner, will take off and run from Stewart Indian School Museum to Yerington, which is 50 miles. And the reason I asked about the event limits, or if there will be event limits, is that 92 people have said they're coming to this thing. Some of them will be camping overnight in the powwow grounds behind our museum on Friday night. So it's turned into a bigger event than we actually had planned. But it's going to be a really great event and a great way to commemorate Koo Stevens' great-grandfather who attended Stewart and ran away 3 times to Yerington. In addition, the Washoe tribe is going to have a community walk from the museum to the Washoe Tribal Cemetery, which is across the street on Snyder Avenue. And they'll be placing flowers on the graves of some of the children from Stewart who are buried in that cemetery, and they'll be doing some prayers. It used to be the Stewart Cemetery. It's now Washoe Tribal Land. So we don't really encourage people to go there, but this is one event where the people will be able to go over and remember and honor the children who are buried there. Any public comment at this time?
There are no callers on the line at this time.
Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.